Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world.
This is a News 7 KWWL special report. Growing Forward, the future of farming in Iowa.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Ron Steele.
And I'm Abby Turpin. Welcome to a KWWL special report, Growing Forward, the future of farming.
Well, tonight our newscast will look a little bit different as we devote the entire first half hour to some of the issues facing Iowa farmers today.
And then at 6:30, our special newscast will continue with a panel of farmers and ag officials tackling just how Iowa will grow forward. We're going to start with the huge economic impact of agriculture right here in Iowa.
That's right, Abby. In fact, the impact is an estimated $72 billion a year. That is more than a quarter of Iowa's entire economy relying on agriculture.
But today, Iowa farmers and consumers find themselves caught in the middle of that high-stakes trade war with China.
The origin of this trade war is the U.S. effort to protect intellectual property rights of American companies. Now, researchers predict that tariffs on the Chinese imports this year will cost the average American family an extra $831, not to mention China's retaliatory tariffs on American ag exports. It hits very close to home for Iowa farmers like Peter Schneider. A familiar late harvest scene recently in a farm field near Waterloo, as a combine brings in the final acres of this year's soybean crop for Schneider Farms.
You know, it's a family farm, and it's been in our family for around 150 years. So right now we're currently a mixture between row crops, corn and soybeans, and then hogs.
Farming has always been a big part of life for 34-year-old Blackhawk County farmer Peter Schneider. And just as Peter grew up around farming, his wife and children now enjoy the same surroundings on the Schneider family farm just south of Waterloo. And here, the KWWL drone hovers over some of the more than 4,000 acres of this large independent operation.
Our farm's around 1,200 sows, and then we'll finish out somewhere around 25,000 head of marked hogs each year. We're going to be somewhere around 4,000 acres to 4,500 acres worth of row crop farming. In terms of the tariffs right now, if we didn't have those tariffs in place, we could be looking at maybe a record year in terms of profitability and in terms of being able to, again, continue to make it a viable operation for years to come. It'd be great if the tariffs would go away tomorrow.
As the trade war lingers on, the Schneiders will just do what they do, keep working every day. They'll finish out these pigs and sell them to either Tyson in Waterloo or JBS in Marshalltown.
There's a lot of uncertainty as to what the markets are going to look like for us, and the markets are definitely showing that right now the price for hogs on our end of the world is somewhere around break even versus if we look at the price in China today, they're making hundreds of dollars per head of, that they sell because of the African swine fever disease that they had there and the lack of pork.
And you know, Peter really follows that African swine fever situation very closely, as he is a local veterinarian as well as a hog farmer.
Now, as far as the tariffs, American consumers and businesses have already paid $34 billion in extra costs since the trade war began in February of last year.
You know, right now Iowa has around 86,000 farms, according to USDA. About 90 to 95% are family-owned farms. That's about 2,000 fewer farms, though, compared to the previous census. Now, keep in mind, Iowa had more than 200,000 farms in 1950, and the age of the farmer here in our state is going up, as the census data puts the average age of an Iowa farmer right now at 59.
That's right. There are far more Iowa farmers age 65 and older than there are age 45 and younger. Right now, KWW reporter Ashley Neighbor talks with one area farmer about keeping his farm in the family.
I knew from a very young age, probably 8 or 9 years old, that's what I wanted to do.
It's harvesting time at the Kolb Farms, which means you'll likely find Pete Kolb up in a combine.
I enjoyed it, I guess.
His two sons farm along with him. John grew up with that same love for the fields.
I always liked playing in the dirt. I was always in the sandbox, it seemed like, and I just couldn't be around the farm enough. I always liked being out around the machinery. I guess it was just always kind of in my blood.
Their operation is primarily raising grain crops. They also specialize in seed corn and seed beans.
What we grow is what the farmer would plant next year.
While the weather can make or break their yields, it's the markets and when to sell that weighs heavy on their minds.
And trying to identify whether, you know, should I sell today and lock in some of my production at a break-even price if I get a normal yield, or is in 6 weeks that going to look like the worst decision you ever made or the smartest thing I ever did, you know? So
marketplaces are becoming more and more unpredictable as the global economy expands.
You really have to pay attention, and it weighs on your mind daily. And you need to be watching that constantly.
The Kalbs have spent years building their operation and improving their land.
And then you would like to think someone you can hand that baton off to, and they will continue to improve.
Family farms account for almost 96% of farms in the U.S., according to the USDA. Yet the age of the average farmer continues to increase. While the transition will be years away, John's hopeful this farm will stay in the family.
I want to be a farmer.
John's 11-year-old son Lucas is ready to become the fourth generation, and he's pretty firm in his decision.
Because I watched my dad and my grandpa do it, and it just looks fun.
While the number of farmers may be on the decline, Pete says the same technology that can make it difficult for his generation to keep up will fuel the future.
Probably has something to do with farming being less labor intensive. So one person can farm a lot more than what they used to be able to.
Reporting in Fayette County, Ashley Neighbor, News 7, KWWL.
Managing the growing size of conventional farms, along with the uncertainties of weather and markets, can cause a huge amount of stress.
You know, U.S. Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa recently introduced new legislation called the Seeding Rural Resiliency Act. Now, the goal here will be to curb the rising rate of farmers' suicides in America.
But this would work with organizations that work closely with farmers to have help out there, and particularly to enhance the knowledge of people that deal with farmers on a regular basis.
KWWL reporter Colin Dorsey talking with one area farmer in Clayton County on how he handles farming's stressful challenges.
Up until a couple decades ago, a farmer with a few hundred acres was considered to be doing well. Those days have gone. Farmers now look at several thousand acres every season. Those extra acres mean for some added stress.
But a lot of times you've got more entities and more parties involved. To just make it needs to be bigger just to sustain the family members that are involved.
Eric Oberbrockling comes from generations of Iowa farmers. He's seen the good times and the bad.
A bad year definitely doesn't do anybody any favors. I mean, the big shock absorber to having a bad year is make sure you know your financials.
A bad year can turn a farm upside down, adding a lot of worry to the day-to-day.
Weather's number one from a grain operation. From the livestock side, you've always got disease issues to worry about. Production's the big thing, you know, weather, disease, all equates to getting production.
And a wet and late year like 2019 won't be a cheap year for grain farmers in Iowa. Some crops were planted a month late and harvested a month late. Corn especially didn't get the drying time it needed while still in the field. This means farmers like Oberbrockling will be paying.
Well, the yield is there. We're definitely still going to add to the drying cost. Going to burn a lot of propane to dry that crop down to get it into storage.
These are just some of the unforeseen aspects that pop up when planting early in the year.
You know, there's always hiccups in the road. I mean, whether it be a trade issue or the ethanol issue or Mother Nature throwing a wrench in the system.
He tells me the key to running a successful farming operation, which in turn brings down the stress, is diversification, bringing up the old adage of don't put all of your eggs in one basket. In Clayton County, Colin Dorsey, News 7, KWWL.
And if you are dealing with personal or financial stress, there's a list of phone numbers right there on your screen. These are also available on our website, KWWL.com.
You know, unfortunately, Chapter 12 farmer bankruptcies allow farmers to avoid liquidation or foreclosure, but they did rise 24% nationwide in the last year. There were 24 farm bankruptcies in Iowa over the past 12 months, and that was an increase of 10 from the previous year.
KWW reporter Travis Breeze is digging into the actual cost of running a farm.
Agriculture economists estimate that corn farmers in Iowa sank over $700 into each acre of rented land this year. Now, that includes money spent on machine maintenance and supplies. While it is a labor of love, getting back what they invest can be difficult.
I think sometimes going to school for finance would help out some with that.
A brand new set of farm machinery could cost you around $1 million.
I know a lot of the equipment here is probably twice the amount of what my house cost.
Emily Snyder doesn't have to start from scratch, inheriting a lot of equipment from her dad, Ray. But it's tough to find a way around increasing land costs.
When I bought my farm in 1972, we paid a little over $600 an acre.
Now it's over $9,000. The selling price of corn catapulted in 2012, but higher land costs came right along with it. Since then, commodity prices have fallen quicker than land prices, making it harder to turn a profit.
I don't think every farmer out there is in the red. I think the whole system is hurting.
David Baker heads Iowa State's Beginning Farmer Center. While he's seen struggles, he's also seen low interest rates help people like Snyder diversify.
The livestock definitely helps us a lot. That's why a lot of people either get started with the livestock or have livestock plus their crops.
Ray has leaned on Emily for her help in the field and with the finances, and he's ready to hand the keys to the fourth generation.
She's my retirement, her and her husband.
He's kind of already done that a little bit, but yeah, we are his retirement. That is pretty much how it works.
Reporting in Johnson County, Travis Breeze, News 7, KWWL.
One woman at Iowa State University has dedicated her career to transforming Iowa and U.S. agriculture.
KWWL reporter Vinnie Lowry met with a professor at ISU to talk about Iowa's food future.
Dr. Lisa Moore says there are many ideas on the horizon for the future of agriculture, including facing the environmental and economic challenges to growing what we eat.
I think that we have a real opportunity to come up with creative solutions that work for people in the land.
She suggests getting Iowans together at the table.
We actually need more time together, sitting across the supper table, right? Our urban residents and our rural residents, talking together about what we both want for the future of agriculture.
The table discussion would center on building upon the rural community, an experimental town layout called an agrihood, where agriculture and residency are intertwined.
If we expand upon it, could really offer a lot of people a lifestyle that they frankly crave. You could potentially own your own 10 acres. If you didn't want to do that, you could buy that from a farmer that's located right in your neighborhood.
Bracing for the economy is part of the future. Dr. Moore says farmers can handle a fluctuating market by planting a diverse crop, including small grains. This would use more of their fields year-round.
And market diversification generally helps them weather, the ups and downs of any given market.
Dr. Moore says the transition to the ideal future of agriculture is not fast enough, and that the small rural communities have suffered as a result.
Production, technology, and conservation in a way that also returns value to the farm. We will figure out something that nobody else in the world has been able to figure out.
A lot of this change doesn't just fall on the farmer. Dr. Moore reminds everyone, research only goes so far. It requires society to take the next step. Vinnie Lowry, News 7, KWWL.
Let's talk more now about family farms, a bit of an emotional story. What happens when a farm's right-hand man is given a shocking health diagnosis during their busiest season?
Right now, KWWL reporter Leslie Stone has this Iowa Nice story.
Kiefer Farms' annual fall attraction brings enjoyment to generations of families in eastern Iowa. But that was all put into question recently. Thanks to family, friends, and a little prayer, the family business continues.
Doing this for 57 years so far.
From pumpkins to tractor rides, even a haunted house. You can find it all at Kiefer Farms in Waterloo. But this year is a bit different for the Kiefer family.
He was diagnosed with cancer in the beginning of July. Started taking both chemo and radiation treatments. Experienced some difficulties with the radiation treatments that ultimately gave him an emergency ambulance ride down to Iowa City in the middle of September.
Julie Kiefer says the past few months have been difficult, running to doctor's appointments while keeping up the farm. While she says it's hard to ask for help, a simple post had dozens answering her call.
We had over 40 people step up to the plate and volunteer and help us out.
Normally a key player in the months-long operation, her husband has been sidelined this year. Still, Julie says the pumpkin season simply would not have been possible without him.
His, mechanical expertise and his electrical expertise, and he had to help us know how to do that. Things happened with the tractor. We needed, his help to help us get through that as well. So, it's all a learning curve.
One that continues on.
All righty, which road did the big one come from?
And off the farm.
I need to be strong for him. Farming is our life, and that's what we do, and that's what we want to continue to do.
Now, Julie tells me after the pumpkin season, they start working in their greenhouses, growing flowers and produce to be sold at local farmers markets. In the studio, Leslie Stone, News 7 KWWL.
Leslie, thanks very much. And at the bottom of the hour here tonight, right at 6:30, our special report for this hour, Growing Forward, the future of farming will continue. You're going to hear directly from some Iowa farmers and key players about the biggest issues facing the farming industry in our state today.
And, of course, what we eat and grow is dependent upon the weather. You're taking a live look right now at our Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar. And Chief Meteorologist Mark Schnackenberg will have the full forecast coming up in just a bit.
Closed captioning on KWWL brought to you by RSH Legal, fighting for fairness.
Too many doorbusters for one day, so it's a special Black Friday blackout every day this month at Community Buick GMC.
Like new 19 Buick Encore models, up to $9,000 off MSRP. New 19 GMC Acadia models, up to $13,000 off MSRP. And select new 19 GMC Sierra 1500 models, up to $11,000 off MSRP.
Through the end of the month, it's a special Black Friday blackout at Community Buick GMC in front of Lowe's in Waterloo.
Bumbling baggage blunders. You're heading home from vacation, and your souvenir stuffed suitcase is dangerously close to excessive weight status. This looks like a job for Smile Power. Good thing you've got first-class dental insurance, backed nationally by over 65 years of molar defending experience. So you can keep your mojo moving with a healthy grin. Unleash your Smile Power with Delta Dental. Delta Dental.
The American people can fix anything. The problem is corporations and the people who run and own them have purchased our democracy. Here's the difference between me and the other candidates. I don't think we can fix our democracy from the inside. I don't believe Washington politicians and big corporations will let that happen. The only way we can make change happen is from the outside. For me, this comes down to whether you trust the politicians or the people. And if you say you trust the people, are you willing to stand up to the insiders and the big corporations and give the people the tools they need to fix our democracy? A national referendum, term limits, eliminating corporate money in politics, making it easy to vote. I trust the people. And as president, I will give you tools we need to fix our democracy. I'm Tom Steyer, and I approve this message.
Looking for the absolute best deals in Iowa on new Fords? Witham Ford in Waterloo, Cedar Falls, and LaPorte City has you covered. Looking for the Cedar Valley's largest Ford selection? Witham Ford has you covered. Our 3 locations means we're the Cedar Valley's largest Ford dealer, covering all of your Ford needs for sales, service, and parts. So shop the Ford dealer you can count on. Shop Witham Ford in Waterloo, Cedar Falls, and LaPorte City.
Everything we do is driven by you.
Technology has led to huge advancements in farming.
Right, Abby. In fact, KWW reporter Ashley Scott tonight talks to one area dairy farmer about how automation has changed her landscape.
So every single day, you need a farmer. I need a farmer.
Megan Krakel is the 6th generation to take over the family farm. She says her days as a little girl on the farm, compared to now, are vastly different.
It used to take us 5 to 6 hours to milk 250 cows, and we had to have 3 or 4 people there for every chore time. Now, a couple of people can do chores for 400 cows, so it's just incredible what it allows you to do and be efficient.
Krakel's cows are milked using an automatic machine. It also cleans the cows and their udders and monitors their health.
Robots, our schedules are so much more flexible than they ever used to be. Like I said, it takes 1 to 2 people to do chores at night. It takes 2 to 3 in the morning.
Cows are fed and have their health monitored the same way.
Having that free time and that flexibility is huge. I mean, I've been able to attend weddings I never thought I'd be able to attend. Like, my parents go out some night. They can leave the farm at 5 or 6 o'clock. Like, it just never could happen before.
In Dubuque, I'm Ashley Scott, News 7 KWWL.
And our special hour-long program continues. Our discussion and reports on Iowa farming will continue in just a moment. Stay with us.
Your Storm Track 7 forecast on KWWL is brought to you by Casey's, famous for pizza.
This is about preventing a potentially disastrous outcome from occurring next year.
Now it's crystal clear. Their partisan impeachment is a politically motivated charade. Abby Finkenauer promised to be different, but she's not. Instead of working to secure our border, fix health care, and pass a new trade deal with our neighbors that creates real jobs, she supported the partisan impeachment investigation. Tell Congresswoman Finkenauer, let the voters decide elections. Vote no on impeachment and get to work.
The calendar says November, but at CNS, we call it Yes-November. It's our biggest sale of the year, and we're saying yes to huge savings. And during the Subaru Share Their Love event, Subaru will donate $250 to a charity of your choice. Say yes to no money down and no payments till 2020. Buy a new 2020 Subaru Scent now, just $34,438. Say yes to a new 2020 Forester now, only $24,609. Yes-November is here now, only at CNS Subaru in Waterloo.
I've been a DuTrack member for over 40 years, and in that time, DuTrack's always been there for me. I use my DuTrack credit card for purchasing pretty much everything. I purchase my tools, and in the process, I'm building up points, which I use to, in turn, to purchase more tools, and it just works out really good. DuTrack is a great place to do your banking. They have really good people. They're going to be there for you. Not a single complaint. Nothing but praise. I'm Dean Quinlan. I'm a proud member of DuTrack Community Credit Union.
Donald Trump is the most corrupt president in American history. But the greed and corruption undermining our democracy is bigger than one man. And so is the solution. When we stand together, we will make billionaires pay their fair share, provide better wages for workers, and equal pay for women. We will expand Social Security and guarantee health care for all. I'm Bernie Sanders, and I approve this message because the future doesn't belong to Trump and his billionaire friends. It belongs to us.
Welcome back. Weather has been a whirlwind for Iowa farmers in 2019.
Right now, let's take a quick look back at the roller coaster.
Yeah, we had a bitterly cold and snowy start to the year. Iowa had below average temperatures and above average snowfall.
All that cold and snow led to a spring full of flooding for so many here in our state. Many spots in Iowa saw minor to major flooding, especially in western Iowa.
In my home state of Iowa, widespread flooding has had a devastating impact, causing an estimated $1.6 billion in damage in Iowa alone, with even more damage reported across the Midwest.
Now, Senator Joni Ernst lobbied to get the disaster and package signed. It includes $3 billion for those affected by the spring flooding across the Midwest.
And the USDA also announced assistance for Iowa flood victims in the form of low-interest loans, the Livestock Indemnity Program, and the Non-Insured Crop Disaster Assistance Program.
A dry period followed those spring rains, finally gave our farmers a chance to get out in the fields, but the summer quickly faded into a rainy and chilly fall. Earlier than expected snowfall also contributed to the very, very late harvest this year.
The latest crop production report predicts Iowa's production at 2.52 billion bushels. Yield averages are expected at 192 bushels per acre. Now that would be a drop of 4 bushels an acre from last year. Soybean production is forecasted at 484 million bushels. The average yield is predicted at 53 bushels an acre. That is 3 bushels fewer than 2018.
All right, now let's go back to the Forecast Center with Chief Meteorologist Mark Schnackenberg about tonight's weather.
You got rain on the way. Temperatures are mild out there across eastern Iowa. We're in the 40s. We may even see temperatures warm up a couple degrees around here. as we get towards the morning hours, and eventually these temperatures will drop off as we head through the day tomorrow as the storm system passes on by. As for any rain right now in eastern Iowa, all is quiet. Just a lot of clouds across the region. As we look at Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar, the rain is to our west of Interstate 35 here, but here in eastern Iowa, we will see the rain. It'll be as we get towards 9 and 10 o'clock, it becomes a bit more widespread. You can see all the rain off to the south and west. This is where the storm is coming from, and it'll pass through the area during the overnight hours. So it's going to be a rainy night, and into the morning hours, we'll be dealing with scattered showers as well. In addition to that, it's going to be a bit breezy here through the overnight hours. We're looking at a south wind here, and then as we get towards the morning hours, as the sun comes up, it becomes a northwest wind. That's when the temperatures will start to slowly fall. So you have our highs here in the upper 40s and low 50s, and then with a gusty wind out of the northwest, temperatures will drop into the low 40s in the afternoon, and eventually this wind does die down as we get towards the evening hours. So here's the rain as it spreads across the area. Rain can be locally heavy at times throughout the night, and then during the morning hours, not as heavy. It'll be scattered showers through the morning hours, and by lunchtime, a cloudy sky. As we get towards the afternoon, still cloudy. Probably won't see any sunshine because the sun will be down by the time we start to see the clouds clear from west to east. About a ½ inch to an inch of rain expected out of this. Again, high temperatures are going to be in the morning hours tomorrow, and then we'll see the upper 40s and low 50s drop into the low 40s during the afternoon with a gusty northwest wind. Your city-by-city forecast does include a chilly day on Friday, 40s on Saturday and Sunday, a pretty decent weekend on the way. Stay in the 40s on Monday. We're still tracking the potential for a storm to impact us, maybe some rain Tuesday, possibly some snow on Wednesday.
Hey, Mark, thank you very much. Let's take a live look right now at a view from the KWWL drone, looking at some of Iowa's 30 million farming acres. We'll be right back.